30 years ago, my life was forever changed by a moment. Now that moment is available in silver bullion coin form. This is not a coin you want to miss out on. It is an extremely low mintage, has a popular theme, and captures a scene that will live for generations. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, an amazing book turned into a transformative film. Yes, it has dinosaurs, great thematics, and character development, but the real power behind the film goes further into the ethical and philosophical question, just because you can, should you? Let's jump back a decade or two. 1990 is where we'll sit. There was significant research being developed into animal cloning, and in fact, just a handful of years later, Dolly the sheep was created, a sheep created by science. There were many arguments made about the lines being crossed and ethical concerns, which were exponentially galvanized in 1993 with the launch of the Jurassic Park film. If you're not familiar, and in an attempt to make a long film into 30 seconds, in the movie, scientists have a breakthrough. Bingo, dino DNA is obtained. A billionaire philanthropist invests in gene splicing and cloning takes place, and he eventually has a T-Rex and a whole host of dino friends in a theme park where all the attractions are real and yes, can kill you. Characters from differing backgrounds are invited to the park to give their 2 cents, and many ethical questions arise. Inevitably, humans find a way to mess it up, and in this case, greed is the character trait that leads to a perfect storm, pun intended, which lets loose many of the park's deadly attractions. Many people die. Nature cannot be contained, and eventually creation escapes the island and finds its way to mainland USA and other places due to more human imperfections like greed. 3 main themes plagued me and formed me as a child watching this film. Nature always wins is theme 1. We can find a way to live with it, but not against it. Theme 2. Just because you can does not mean you should. Science and human capability is constantly progressing. Humans on a macro and micro scale need to ask themselves about the impulsive nature of actions and act with the intentions that lead to what does good and not what feels good. And theme 3, velociraptors can open doors and we are never safe. What a beautiful set of ideas played out in dino drama, and here we are 30 years later with a new movie hitting the horizon. This is a franchise that has developed and reimagined itself multiple times. In fact, there are even Jurassic Park or world traveling shows in the United States that are almost circus-like, and theme park experiences can be found throughout the world. This is a development of theme that even Beethoven would be envious of. Now that you understand Jurassic Park a little, let's look at this curious coin of contemplative convictions as we place it on our 60-point scale to see if it's right for you. When we look at the Obverse, we are met with one of the coolest Pacific coats of arms that I know of. It is so very unique and tells the story of the island in a compelling way. I go over this coat of arms in depth in my Fiji Great Wave video and will spare you your time today, but think overall the Obverse does the job. It is a little on the less refined side, and with modern traditions in coins, I think it could be elevated a bit, but I still think it's effective and I score it a 7. When we move to the reverse, we see our fantastic Tyrannosaurus Rex in one of the most iconic scenes in movie history. One of the final action shots of the Jurassic Park movie lies in the scene where the T-Rex has overtaken the focus of 2 velociraptors trying to hunt our main characters. The T-Rex has a battle with the 2 raptors, throwing one through a fossil reproduction of what looks to be an Apatosaurus, while peeling the other raptor off from its back and dealing a final bite. Once the Rex's foes have been vanquished, he lets out a triumphant roar, causing the welcome banner to fall and lay ever so gracefully on the T-Rex, as if he is a Miss Universe contestant. This is a scene that seems to have lived rent-free in my mind for the past 30 years. Speaking of 30 years, we also see a badge noting that this is the 30th anniversary, which I love. It's basically a privy mark. Being a franchise, we do have some wordage that denote the rights and trademarks, which are an eyesore but understandably needed. Overall, I love the depiction, but do think there is too much negative space that could have been filled in a multitude of ways. I give the reverse an 8. Mintage is our next category. This coin has an extremely low mintage of 5,000, which scores a perfect 10, and even more impressively, when the new Jurassic Park movie launches, which often brings back collectors to the franchise, I imagine this coin will spike in value there too. Cultural significance is next, with a global franchise that has over $1 billion in movie sales without even branching into the branding of toys, textiles, and other merchandise. It is easy to say Jurassic Park is a global phenomenon. Does it have direct ties to Fiji? Not in a modern sense. The movie was filmed in Hawaii and California, but it does invoke many scenes one would likely find in Fiji from a flora and geographical standpoint. The Polynesian influence in Fiji may also share some commonality with Hawaiian culture, but it's a stretch to say there's a direct relation. I must therefore regress and say that Jurassic Park may have a plausible modern influence in culture, as it does around the world, but it doesn't have a strong connection with Fiji, and therefore I score it a 5. Not all is lost, however. Collectibility is next. As mentioned, we have one of the most iconic themes in all of modern film. The franchise has been around for 31 years, and they are still creating new material and expanding characters and stories. In this film, they are actually focusing on new characters, which makes me think there should be more movies in the coming years. This could be a $2 to $3 billion franchise in the next decade, which is just stunning to think about. This being said, I would not be shocked if in a decade, Jurassic Park and its subsidiaries overtake icons like Star Wars in fandom and fame. This coin is therefore extremely collectible and scores a 10. Our last area to grade is uniqueness. I'm shocked to say that there are a couple of examples of coins with the Jurassic Park imagery on it. None of them have this cool iconography, nor can I say that they are 30-year anniversary versions, but they are pretty cool in their own right and worth a look, as you can see. This being said, this is an extremely unique piece and scores a 10, bringing us to our final thoughts and score. The 30th anniversary Jurassic Park coin escapes extinction by just making it to the elite level of scoring at a 50 out of 60. We saw a weakness in this coin when it comes to cultural significance, but being the popular kid in school was a huge advantage, and it overtook the deficiency of culture. In final thoughts, this is a fun coin that should age extremely well. I expect the value to go up each time a film is released, and honestly, there will be a nostalgia factor in the original imagery like this coin portrays for decades to come. It is right for my collection, and it is one worth considering for most collectors or dinosaur lovers. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.